Welcome back. Thom Hartmann here with you. Last night, the Dzhokhar Tsarnaev was read his rights, shall we say. It's referred to as the Miranda rights because the Miranda versus somebody or other U.S. Supreme Court case. But the fact of the matter is that they're Fifth Amendment rights. The Fifth Amendment of the United States guarantees that you have certain protections against abuse by government with regard to the accusations of criminal behavior. And these rights have been codified, and somehow, and I believe it was during the Bush administration, I could be wrong, but I believe over the last couple of years, the last decade or so, the Justice Department, without any input from you or me or even our elected representatives, somehow we carved a hole in that. And we said, well, okay, you can arrest somebody and interrogate them. Now, keep in mind, when the Miranda case was ruled back in '66 or whatever the year was, when the Miranda case was ruled, they would arrest people and, tie them to chairs and beat them with belts. Slap around, yell at them, scream at them, threaten things to them, burn them with cigarettes, whatever. Threaten to put the kids in jail. In fact, in one of the memos by John Yoo and Jay Bybee, they said that crushing the testicles of a 7 or 10-year-old boy in front of his father would be considered an appropriate way of interrogating his father. Look it up. So what the Miranda rights say, what the Fifth Amendment says, is that you may not do these things. And in fact, a person has the right to remain silent before you. You have to prove that they are guilty. They don't have to beg and prove their innocence to you, and they can cooperate or not cooperate. You being the government. You being all the rest of us, society as a whole. Which makes it harder for us to prosecute people who are criminals, and makes it much harder for us to prosecute people who aren't criminals but are easily influenced, threatened, intimidated, or frightened. And it should be hard. There is one institution in our society that we give the power to take us out of our homes or out of our cars, to bind us in ways that we cannot move, to lock us in rooms from which we cannot escape, and in some states and nationwide for some crimes, to execute us. And that one institution is our government. Now, I find it particularly ironic that the so-called right-wingers are just in love with the government's power to kill people. Oh, yeah, death penalty, great thing. Yeah, we need more of it. But somehow they're afraid of the government. They hate the government. Now, this to me is insane. I'm with Thomas Jefferson and George Washington and James Madison and these other guys who said, if we're going to take on the power, if we, because they were all members of government back at the time, or almost all of them, and they certainly created it. If we're going to create an entity that is going to have this kind of power, it has to have some serious constraints. And those constraints should not have holes drilled in them unless we, the people, drill those holes. And even then, there should be some limits to what those holes can be. And here we have this so-called public safety exemption that says, well, you don't have to tell somebody what their rights are right away if they might. I mean, this goes back to a Supreme Court ruling where a guy was arrested. As I recall, I don't have the details in front of me. As I recall, he had shot or beat up his wife, and he had a gun, and he had a holster, and he was wearing the holster. The holster was empty, and the question was, where's the gun? Which is a very good question, because guns kill people. And the police asked him, where's the gun? And they asked him that before they had told him that he had the right to remain silent. And so when he went all the way to the Supreme Court, he said, I shouldn't have said anything. I should have been informed of my right to remain silent. And the Supreme Court said, yeah, but that gun was a present threat to public safety. And if you'd left that gun out in the front yard where some 8-year-old could pick it up and shoot somebody, that's something that the police needed to know. And the public good was so compelling that it overwhelmed the Fifth Amendment right for you to be informed that you could be silent. Now, I disagree with that Supreme Court ruling, first of all. I don't think that we have a constitutional monarchy in the United States. I mean, I do acknowledge that we do have a constitutional monarchy in the United States, but I don't think the founders intended for us to have one. The Supreme Court should not have been able to make law like that, and they should not have been able to carve exemptions in the Fifth Amendment like that, but they did. Number one. But number two, the Justice Department, starting in the Bush administration, big time, I mean, during the so-called war on terror, but now even the Obama administration doing it, saying, okay, we're going to take that Supreme Court ruling that said that it is possible for you to drill a little tiny hole in the Fifth Amendment, and instead of using a drill, we're going to use a jackhammer. And we're going to have even more of these exceptions. We appropriately have some regulations on our so-called Second Amendment rights to bear arms. The word well-regulated is in that sentence that also has the word arms in it. So it's fairly clear that there's some intent for regulation there. There is no well-regulated press. The right of the press shall not be infringed. Free speech shall not be infringed. And yet we do infringe it. There are certain kinds of speech that are illegal. I disagree with that as well. But I think that we have not really crossed a serious line there. I mean, I don't like it that I can't make jokes about bombs at the airport or something like that, but I understand it. By the way, the other day I was flying out Sunday when I was flying out to Los Angeles. The TSA woman who checked my ID was wearing a hijab. Is that the word for the Muslim headdress? And I was so proud of my country in that moment. That here's a Muslim woman in a Muslim dress wearing a TSA uniform, deciding which security line I'd go into. And I just thought, this is so cool. Anyhow, that said, the First and Second Amendment protect us. Second Amendment, let's set aside the Second Amendment because it's a whole separate thing. But the First Amendment, protects us in some ways from coming. But the Fourth and Fifth Amendment literally protect us from being ripped out of our homes and hung until we're dead. And the Justice Department wants, in their infinite wisdom, without consulting taxpayers or voters, the Justice Department wants to be able to say, oh, we're going to create exemptions for this. I think that's wrong.